Hi, this is Jason from Effective Dashboards, helping maintenance and reliability professionals get the most out of Power BI. So in this video, we're going to be looking at exporting a PowerPoint presentation of your Power BI report and then sending that information to a range of email addresses. Now in this example here, we want to be able to send an export of this Power BI report here to each one of these departments. Okay, we want to send it to each one of these departments, but we want to only send them the information that's pre-filtered for that department. So I'm going to be showing you how you can use Power Automate to set all this up. Okay, so the report we're going to be working with this week is going to be this report here, and it's a report that I go through in my free course, so check the description below if you want to know how to build this. And you can see here that we've got this this list of departments here: drilling, engineering, integrity, maintenance, operations and wells. And the requirements here is to send out each of the department heads a copy of this report here, which is pre-filtered for their department. Okay, so they can then choose to go into Power BI, but we want to send them a PowerPoint presentation that's got that information so they can open up their inbox and they can see that information straight away. Now, what I've done is I've created a number of additional tabs here. Now, the first one is this one here called the Backlog Summary Single Department. So you can see here what I've done is I've made this box a lot smaller, and it doesn't really make any sense to use this for multiple departments. Okay, it really does only make sense if I go and apply a filter here to, for example, maintenance, and it's sized to be just displaying one department, and that's why I've hidden it, because I want this to be something that I only export when I've got one department filtered, and that's going to be part of the job that we're going to do is to export this as part of that PowerPoint presentation. I don't want anyone to be able to access that through the front end in the Power BI service, so I've hidden that. The other thing we want is we want some detail, so I've also put in this extra page here that's got the top 10 work orders by the hours and backlog, and the top 10 work orders in this one here is sorted by, it is now anyway, the days in backlog. Okay, so again, what we'd want to do is we want to pre-filter this for each department so they can go in. So from a maintenance point of view, what are my top 10 work orders in terms of hours in backlog and in terms of the number of days in backlog? Okay, and we've got this this piece here where we've actually also made this dynamic. So we've added a couple of extra pages in here, and these pages are purely so that we can are purely to be used when we export this to PowerPoint. Now within the Power BI service, there is the option to do both of the things we want to do, but not together. Okay, so you can export to PowerPoint, and you can choose the current values, or you can choose some default values here. So we could actually go in and apply the filter and then export the current values. So for example, for maintenance, we could apply a filter to the whole report for maintenance, and that would mean we'd need to exclude hidden report tabs. We need to take that off so we can see the hidden tabs, and then we'd need to carry out that export for each of the different departments, and then we'd need to manually attach that to an email. Now the other option is we can set up a subscription where we can add a new subscription, we can add in the names here, and then we can choose a page, but you can only choose pages that are visible in your report, and you can't apply filters. Okay, so it's not quite what we need. We want to be able to set up a recurring job, so every Monday morning we send an email to each head of department with a PowerPoint presentation containing only the information that they're interested in. So let's go and we'll start to set this up using Power Automate. Okay, so before we get too far into this, I do want to just draw your attention to the fact that you will need a premium per capacity license to be able to use this action that I'm going to show you in Power Automate. So in real terms, it's going to mean that if you're a small individual or a small organization, you're probably going to have either a pro or a premium per user license, but you do need this license to be able to use it. And with that in mind, I'm not going to be able to show you the full demonstration. I am going to show you the configuration steps, and I have asked somebody who has access to a premium per capacity license to run these, and it works fine. Okay, so yeah, you do need the larger license here to be able to run that, so just bear that in mind, and I don't want to waste your time having you watch a video and then find out that you don't have the appropriate license to be able to use this functionality. Right, so the Power Automate steps we're going to take is going to be three main steps. The first one is we're going to get a list of the departments and their related email addresses. So that's going to be stored in an Excel spreadsheet that's going to be stored in SharePoint. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to use the department name to generate a Power BI report filtered for that department. Okay, with a list of pages and predefined filters, which will be each of the departments. So we're going to go and we're going to filter through or cycle through each of the departments, and for each department we're going to go and create a Power BI report. Okay, so for maintenance we'll create a maintenance Power BI report. For engineering we'll create an engineering Power BI report. And within that piece of work, within that action, we're also going to specify the pages that we want to include in that Power BI report. And then finally, we're going to take that information or take that report and we're going to send an email to the email address that's responsible for that department. Okay, so that's the three main steps. Get the departments and get the email addresses, generate a report for each of the departments and send an email to each of the department heads with that report. Okay, so I'm in PowerPoint here and we can see I've got this spreadsheet here and it's got a list of the departments and it's got a list of email addresses. Now each of the email addresses at the moment are for me, okay, but in general terms that would be a different email address for whoever is responsible for that department. Now the other thing I've put in here is an output test. Now like I mentioned earlier, we're not going to be able to generate a Power BI report, but I want to make sure that the parameters that are being passed to the report are the correct parameters. So I'm going to write them to this file here so that we can see that those parameters are correct. So this is going to be the actual spreadsheet we're going to use as input parameters and also for some output testing. Okay, so I'm in Power Automate. So there's a URL at the top here and I'm in Home and I want to go and create a new flow. So I'm going to create, and here are the different types of flow. Now the one I want is a scheduled cloud flow and we're going to call this heads. Okay, send weekly backlog report to department heads. We're going to send it off. We're going to start it pretty much today. Probably won't kick in until tomorrow now. Repeat every 1 week, and we want to deselect each one of these because we only want to send it off on a Monday. Okay, the flow will run every Monday, and we'll create. So here it is here. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to go to that Excel spreadsheet and we're going to go and collect or connect to that list of departments and email addresses. So let's go in here and we're going to search on Excel Online for Business, and we're going to go and find list rows present in table, and here's our location here. So we're going to go and find it, and it's going to be in this effective dashboards. The document library is going to be documents. The file is going to be in here, which is in this reports, backlog reports, and it's backlog reporting config. Okay, and then in here we can see that we've got the list of tables, and the key thing here is that this is actually set up as a table and it's got and you've allocated it a name. Okay, likewise this output test has been set up as a table, and you can see that if we go in here we can see we've got the two tables here: email, department emails and outputs. So if we go back in here, we've got department emails and outputs. So you need to make sure that they are tables. So let's go and click on department emails. So we're going to go and we're going to basically pull that table into Power Automate, or the contents of that table into Power Automate. So I'm just going to save that. Now there's a few advanced options here. We're not going to use any of them for this particular action. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and use this information to create our Power BI report. So I'm going to just click on Power BI. We can see all of the different options here related to Power Automate, or all the options that are the actions that Power Automate can carry out in regards to Power BI. And the very top one here is export to file for Power BI report. Okay, now it's fairly straightforward here. You connect to a workspace, which is going to be the backlog analysis in my example here. We're going to connect to the report, which is going to be this one here, V2, and we're going to go, and the output is going to be a PowerPoint presentation, PPTX. Now I'm not going to use any of these ones here, they're fine. Now the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this report level filter. So I just want to speak a little bit about what the convention is for setting up these report level filters. So if I go to the report, okay, so how it works is you specify the table name followed by a slash, and then you specify the field name in the filter. So let's go and find department in here. So work order data, and the department is just going to be department. Okay, now it is case sensitive, so it needs to start with a capital letter here. We do need to get the capitals for our work order and data. So let's go back in here, and we're going to say work order data slash department. Okay, and then we're going to say equals, which is EQ, and the name of the department is going to be, it has to be single quotes either side of it. Now the name of the department we're going to use is going to be this department here that we've pulled in. Now watch what happens when I select this. Okay, so what it's done is it's automatically put this export to file for Power BI reports. It's automatically embedded it inside and applies to each. Now and added this value here. Now the reason it's done that is it's recognized that you've got multiple values in this table. So when I've selected department, it's assuming that I want to do it for each department. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to apply it for each department. So I've opened this back up again, and we can see that this department is here, and there's a little bit of a tooltip here. Based on the output parameter you selected, we've added for each container, added that for each container for you. So basically it's enabling us to do this for each department. So we're going to go and get this value here, which is this list of rows that's been extracted from that Excel table. This is what this value is. And for each department, in each row of this value here, we are going to generate a report. So that's the first thing. Now, and the report is going to be filtered for this work order department is equal to, and then in single quotes here, the department name on that row. Okay, so it's going to start off with drilling, then it's going to go engineering, then it's going to go integrity. It's going to cycle through each one of these. So that's great. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to specify the page name that we want to export. So to do that, we're going to go back to here. Now those pages, is this V2 here? Yeah, V2. So those pages are hidden. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of pages that we don't want to navigate to. We only want them to be, I guess, embedded within that PowerPoint presentation whenever we're filtering by a single department. So what I've done is I've added in a wee button here, and this is going to take us to this admin section here where I've got a bookmark here for each of the different, or I've got bookmarks here, but I've got a navigation button that's going to take us to all of the pages here, even these hidden ones here, this backlog summary, single department, and top 10 work orders. So when I click on here, it's going to take us to this top 10 work orders here. Now when we are then here, the code that you need to put into this page name is this section here after report, okay, and before this before the question mark. Okay, so that is the actual unique identifier for this particular page within your report. So if I go to another page, and if I go to top 10 work orders, we'll see that that is a different code here. That one is a different code. So let's copy this one first of all. In fact, actually, let's go back. Let's take the first one. Backlog summary. Okay. So I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to go back to Power Automate and I'm going to paste it in here. Okay, I'm going to paste it in here. Then I'm going to go and I want to, you can see here we've got this dotted line which is around this page, and I want to add a new page. Now you can also add in a bookmark, okay? Now if you wanted to add in a bookmark, now I'm not going to use a bookmark in this example here, but if you did want to add a bookmark for this page, then what you can do is if we go back to our home page here, click on this button here, and I've set up some bookmarks here, so let's just go to, for example, this one here. You would look for this report. Now if you go at the very end, you can see that there's a bookmark code here, so that would be the code which you would copy and paste into this page name here, okay? So you'd put the bookmark, so the report page and the bookmark, okay, if you were using that bookmark. So I just wanted to cover that. We're not going to use it in this example, but that's where you would put that. What we are going to do is we're going to add in a new item here, and we can see that we've now got page 2. And page 2 has got a name, so let's go and get our page 2 name. Go back to page number 2. Okay, so we can see these are two different codes here. So that's page 1 and that's page 2, and we're going to run that with a report level filter, which is work order data department equals, and then this, whatever this department name is that's been pulled in. Before we move on, what I want to do is I want to copy this and show you how this actually works. So if I go into here, and what this is essentially doing is after the question mark, it's adding in this filter equals, and then you put in the table name, the field name equals, and if I put in maintenance and then press enter, we'll see that this has all been filtered by maintenance. Okay, so you can actually add in a parameter to the URL that actually filters it by a particular column and field value. Now there is a whole section here. I'll leave a link below. There's a whole page that talks you through the parameters for each of these and how to set it up, etc. So it's really, that's a place to go to get some in-depth information about how you set up these parameters. The one thing I will say that which isn't in here is if you've got a space, okay? So a lot of times there might be, for example, I've got tables here that have got a space, or certainly I've got measures, or I've got fields. Probably got, yeah, here we go, like work order priority that's got a space in it. Now if you have got a space, what you need to do is add in this code here whenever you've got a space, _x 0020 underscore, okay, and that just that means that you can accommodate a space if you're passing it a parameter that's got a space in it. Okay, so with that said, that is pretty much it. It's fairly straightforward. Okay, so once you've done the piece to set up the Power BI report for that particular department, the next thing we're going to do is add in an email, so create an email. Okay, so we're going to use this one here, send an email v2. Okay, and then the email address is going to be, I'm going to go to this dynamic contact, and it's going to be this email here. So we're going to click on here. Now because we are already in this applies to each, it's going to take the email that corresponds to the department that we're using here, because remember, apply to each is going to go through each row in that table, and it's going to take this department drilling and it's going to get the drilling email. Then it's going to be engineering and it's going to get the engineering email, etc, etc. Okay, so let's minimize that down again, and then in the subject we're going to say battle report for, and we're going to put the department, and then in the body of the email we're going to put hi. Okay, please find attached the battle report for this week, and then in brackets what we can put actually is an expression that actually tells you the week. So I'm going to put in format date time, and then in brackets I'm going to put now, and this format date time takes a date, which is going to be the date now, and then a format. So that format is going to be, I'm going to go for the UK style, which is DDMMYYYY, and I know in America it's month, then day, then year, so you can style it that way if you need to. And then I'm going to click on here. Okay, so please find attached the backlog report for this week. And actually in here, please find attached the put in department backlog report for this week, then in brackets the week. Okay, so that's going to be the email. Now under the advanced options, we're going to want to put in an attachment because we want to attach this report. So in here, this is going to be the name, the file name. So we're going to say in here backlog report for department, and then we'll put in a date as well. Okay, backlog report for department on this date here, and we need to make sure we put the file extension here, so pptx. Okay, so that needs to be PowerPoint extension, so pptx, PowerPoint X, I don't know what it stands for, but PowerPoint. And then the contents are going to be the contents that are generated from this previous step here. Okay, file contents. Right, and that is going to be what's going to be generated. Okay, so we're going to go and get the list of tables, or get the contents of this table, which has got the department and the email address. And then for each row in that table, we're going to go and generate a file and send an email. Okay, generate a file and then send an email. So, like I mentioned before, we're not going to be able to test this. So I'm going to set up a test to make sure that we are exporting the correct parameters. Okay, so we're back in our flow here, and I'm going to delete this one here for just now. That's fine. And we're going to add in an action. And that action is going to be related to Excel. And it's going to be to add a row. Okay, so or update a table, add a row into a table. Okay, and the location of that table is going to be the one we talked about earlier. So I'm going to go and find that table, which is in Effective Dashboards. Documents. Backlog reports, and it's going to be this backlog configuration table, and then the table name is going to be the output. Okay, and then we've got in here, we can see we've got the discipline name, the filter, the page 1, the page 2, the email, and the date, and those correspond to these fields here. Okay, discipline name, filter, page 1, page 2, email, and date. So let's go back into our flow. So the discipline name is going to be this department here, okay, because it's a department related to the current row. The filter is going to be one I've copied earlier, which is this here. And in here we're going to put in department. Okay, now the page name, these are the two pages that we copied from our report. So this one here is actually page 2. And let's go back to, which is going to be page 1. Okay, the email address is going to be the email that is going to be provided by the previous step here, which was to go and get this list of rows. That's going to be the current email address. And then the date is just going to be the, in fact we're going to use an expression here to put the date in, and it's going to be format, date, time, now. Okay, so that is simulating us passing those parameters to the Power BI, the Create Power BI Report feature or action. And then we're going to go and move this send email to be after this. Yeah, okay, so we'll get the report, and then in here we're going to go and send an email with all the information that we have collected. So the department, the email, the department name, etc, etc. Okay, but the only difference is the contents here. We don't have that Power BI report contents, so we're just going to make up some contents here. The report is for, and we'll put in the department. Okay, and we'll change this to a text file, txt. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and we are going to go and just check it here. No errors, that's fine. And I'm going to go and test it. I'm going to test it manually. We can see that that is running away. Okay, and that flow has run successfully. So what I should expect to see is two things. I should expect in my table, my output table, I should see a list of parameters for each of the departments, and I should also expect to see some emails in my email inbox for each of those departments. So let's go back here, and here we can see we've got drilling, and then these are the pages that would be passed to drilling along with the email address. So that's fine. And then engineering, and so that's all looking fine. And then if we went into here, we can see that we've got reports for, just check the time here yet, 3:54, so 3:53 just a second ago. So battle report for wells, battle report for operations, etc, etc, and they've all got attachments, and if I click on one of these attachments, we can see we've got battle report for wells, and the report is for wells. So just a little simulation to make sure that all the parameters that we expected to get passed across to the Power BI report generator action, which we don't have access to, would be getting passed across, and it looks like they are, and everything would be working fine. So like I said before, I have talked to somebody who's tested this, and it works perfectly, and it does generate these Power BI reports and attach them to the emails. So a little bit of a different video here, in that I couldn't really test what I was explaining how you could set up, but hopefully you can see how you can set up your subscriptions to automatically generate a Power BI report where you apply the filters, you specify the pages, it generates the PowerPoint presentation, it then attaches it to an email and sends it off to a department head. So thanks again for listening. If you found this useful, then I'd like to hear any comments below. And if you liked the video, then it's always appreciated if you could give it a thumbs up. But apart from that, I will talk to you in the next video.